Welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. As always, I'm Jordan. Today we are going to look at one of my favorite cheap whiskeys, J.T.S. Brown. This is the Bottled and Bond edition, 100 proof. You go back and look, you'll see I've done an 80 proof version. My hunting partner picked that up in Wisconsin for $9.99 if he bought a case at a time. So, pretty cheap, pretty good. I picked this up in Indiana on my travels for. Sorry, I'm not prepared for this. Let's see here. Um, working on it. JTS Brown, $13.99. So $14 in Indianapolis, Indiana for 100 proof bottled and bond JTS Brown. Um, it's a Heaven Hill product and it's just good stuff. But we'll get into this here. Sorry, just reading the back of that. But if you're so lucky as to have this in your area, highly recommend picking it up if you haven't already. Check it out. Man, just pouring it, like I could smell it already. Just smells delicious. So the 80 proof version, pretty high corn dust. You get a bit of oak in there, a little bit of oak, some nice sweet flavors. And I'm looking forward to it. Now I have already tasted this before, and my memory serves. It says took everything that was in the 80 proof and just cranked it up to the next level. It was really, really enjoyable. So let's see if that's what we get out of this. But as far as cheap whiskey goes, um, I think this one's going to be a hitter for you. Now, just right here, even right here, I'm smelling corn dust. Um, really, really nice. 100 proof. It's not nipping at you with that ethanol, even though it is 100 proof. Um, That time I got a nice floral component to it, like a Buffalo Trace type floral nose. That corn dust is in there. Light fruits, a little bit of honey. Just very nice. I mean, it's like a perfumey floral nose. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is bourbon. There's no two ways about it. Bourbon is bourbon is bourbon. One of these days I'm gonna bust out my sheets with the flavor wheel and the nose wheel, and you can see all. We'll go through a bunch of notes. We'll pick apart a bottle looking at the chart and we'll go through and pick out the notes and stuff. If you ever watch a whiskey review, you'll find time and time and time again, if it's bourbon, there's like a handful of notes that you're going to find. If it's a rye, it's going to be kind of these notes over here. And the thing is, trying to make those notes accessible to you, right? So your brain needs to be able to like you need to have smelled something or tasted something in order for that to click in your brain. And your memory is most closely tied to taste. So things that you taste or smell are going to be your most vivid memories. And so when I put out a note, that's going to trigger something in your brain if you have tasted or smelled it before. That's why I give you the notes that I give you. And if you watch people, some people that are kind of in the crowd, you'll find that they might be very elaborate notes on their nosing and their tasting. This reminds me of when I walked into Papa's barn back in 1962 and it smelled like green. The cows just got on pasture in the spring, so you kind of got that wet. Um, Melting snow, wet dirt, wet ground after a spring rain, and the cows are just on pasture, so got that nice green acidic green cow shit, and they got the shits and blah 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 blah, like very specific note, right? And if you've never experienced that, especially back in 1962, you have no idea what the heck that person's saying. So, um, if you watch any of my videos, you'll see that I'm not putting out the most elaborate notes. Myself and really anybody can go into something like that because almost inevitably in everybody's background, you'll have that triggered response that when you smell something or you taste something, it's going to trigger a response in your brain that you're like, oh man, that reminds me of when I was a kid or whatever. And I will reference that from time to time you'll see in my videos, I'll be like, man, there's this one note in this whiskey that I'm like, oh man, that brings me back to whatever. I'll even say that about this because there's one note in here that I really like that if you've never experienced, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. And we'll get to that when I get into this. But you'll see that there's a lot of people that really, really make these elaborate, vivid, colorful descriptors, but that probably is not going to relate back to you. So when I give the most basic lineup of stuff, tobacco, oak, forest, honey, vanilla, brown sugar, caramel, flowers or floral, walking into a flower shop, notes like that. That's something that most everybody has a reference point for, and that's why I try and use very basic descriptors. Now you can give that note and then take it to the next level and go, oh, it's walking into a floral shop, but it's walking into a floral shop on a sunny day where the heat, the sun's shining through the window and it's warming up the flowers that are sitting in the front, and it kind of almost has that potpourri smell. You can do that, right? And you might have a reference point for that as well. But I try and give just basic notes to give you an outline of the profile so that you can go, yeah, that's something I enjoy or I don't enjoy, and then walk you into a bottle. So, all that to say, now the nose has completely changed. That floral component really disappeared, and it's a heavy, heavy corn dust and brown sugar. Now, for me, the one note I was going to reference, and I will potentially on the taste, well, let's get into it. Brown sugar, light floral, honey, a little bit of an oak ding in there, has a little bit of a floral zest in the background, moving into a corn dust finish. That corn dust note, for me, as a child, when I was working on my grandfather's farm or my uncle's dairy farm, walking into the silage rooms, you kind of get that silage, corn squeezins, like fermented corn mixed with the dusty graininess of the corn dust that's in the room. And that's a note that I get specifically out of J.T.S. Brown, and I particularly really, really like it. For some people, that's going to be a put off because it's a little bit sour, has just a tinge of sour, fermented stuff, along with, but it's like a sweet sourness, which are contradictory, I know, but not really, along with that dusty corn grain. And I really enjoy that. I have very fond memories of it, and so I really enjoy that note. Um, Man, jumping out of the glass, just heavy floral apple and brown sugar now. 100 proof is really where this stuff should live. I love this bottled and bond. The 80 proof is excellent, don't get me wrong, but for $4 more, bottled and bond's worth every penny. It just is so much more vibrant flavors and nosing characteristics. The depth of flavor is just more robust. I really, really like it. I mean, it is straight down home plate, sweet, floral, light oak. Excellent. It's just an excellent whiskey, and for 14 bucks, you're hard pressed to find something better. You really are. So that's what I'm gonna say. I mean, you get a little bit of peanut shell in there. You could almost pick out a little bit of graham cracker if you wanted. Just classic bourbon notes, and all for cheap, cheap prices. If you're so lucky as to be in a state where you can get this, I cannot get this anywhere in the West. I cannot find it in Montana, South Dakota, Wyoming. I shouldn't say anywhere. Out of those 3 states, which are states that I visit most often, I cannot find this. I have to get it from my hunting partner in Wisconsin, or when I go back to Indiana, I can pick some up there now, we know, but then we have to fly back with it and all that jazz. But for 14 bucks, it's totally worth it. So there you go. There's my review. Drop down in the comments down below if you can find J.T.S. Brown in your state and what you can find it for there, specifically this bottled and bond, but if not, then just the regular J.T.S. Brown. I want to say it's only distributed to something like 6 or 8 states. I could be completely wrong about that, but I want to say it has fairly limited distribution, which kind of sucks. But if you can find this, or if you can find it relatively easily, just over the border or something, I highly recommend it. Give it a try. It'd be a great daily sipper. And at 100 proof, I think that is living right in its best place. So check that out. Drop in the comments below what your experience is, whether you recommend it or not, and what you can find a bottle for. Also, check us out, Life and Whiskey, on Rumble and Bitchute if you're watching on YouTube. Um, as I said in all my videos, Rumble is just piggybacking off of YouTube, and Bitchute is kind of where I drop the most videos. So this video will be dropping sometime in early 2023. It's January, mid-January right now, 2023. And I suspect that this video will be coming out maybe in February or March, so in a couple weeks. And if you're watching this on YouTube, this is like August 2024, something like that. So if you're interested in watching videos come out, or more videos more often, check out my BitChute account, Life and Whiskey, because videos are dropping Wednesdays and Saturdays there when I can. I do not have a paid account on there, so I can't schedule things. So I have to manually go in and turn the videos on Wednesdays and on Saturdays. So I try and do it in the morning, by 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Sometimes I don't get till to noon if I forget, or if I'm on vacation or out hunting or doing something, I am most likely not able to turn on those videos on those days. So sometimes I miss days, but for the most part, Wednesdays and Saturdays, 2 videos a week coming out on my BitChute account. So, as always, thanks for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. I'm having lots of fun answering the comments that I'm getting on YouTube and BitChute and everywhere else. Not a ton of interaction, but enough to keep it lively. So thanks for commenting on these videos, and I am looking forward to hearing from you. And I try and get to everybody because I don't get a ton of comments. It seems very very easy to be able to reply to everybody at this point in time. Sometimes it's just a thumbs up, but most often I'll comment back if I have the opportunity. So thanks for commenting. You guys have yourselves a great day. We will catch you in the next video where we're going to look at something my wife picked up just this last weekend, the Wyoming Whiskey 10th anniversary. And since today's going to be a bourbon day, this Calumet Farms 16 that I was able to pick up also. We'll get into those. Those will be the next 2 videos. So you guys have yourselves a great day. We'll catch you in the next video.